Hey guys, what's going on? It's Josh, JCL Felto for the Writer's Lens. And today is going to be my fifth interview on my podcast as I brought on another special guest in the form of one Brent McLaughlin. Say hello, Brent.
Hello, good evening.
Brent is, if you're watching the video, my first guest to sport headphones. So very cool, my man. Very cool because you got that really high-tech microphone, which probably blows mine out of the water. So, but
Yeah, it's borrowed. So.
it's borrowed. Okay, in that case. Brent is an aspiring writer and fellow scribe. He's also part of the local Cleveland Writers Group that actually Brent and I were co-founders of about 4 or 5 years ago now. Man, how time flies. It's pretty crazy. And Brent and I were first connected. Even before that, we got connected. Oh man, now it was probably a good 6 years ago. I would say even farther than that. 6, 7 years ago, I was plopped in the middle of Broadview Heights, Ohio, looking for just a church or something to call my home. I Google searched something, wound up there, and I met this guy, and the rest was kind of history. So,
Yeah, I was sitting in the back doing sound.
yeah, 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 doing sound of all things. So it would make sense that you have all the high tech equipment for that very
Yeah,
reason.
it's not mine though.
Yeah. Right, it is borrowed. But anyway, Brent, I'm really excited to have Brent on my podcast because not just because Brent is a good friend of mine and he's a fellow writer, but because Brent has a real knack for journaling. And he's kind of an old soul that way because it's something that I'm not good at. And I think it's a skill set that a lot of writers either have or they don't or they're trying to do. But they're not really sure how to do it, perhaps. So I've brought him on because this guy is the Zen master, as far as I'm concerned, with his journaling ability. So we're going to touch on that in more detail. So just kicking it off, getting right into it, to talk specifically about journaling, Brent, how long you been doing it, and why did you start doing it?
Yeah, I'd say officially, been doing it for about 5 years, pretty extensively. I have my journals all dated all the way back to 2012. Actually, January 23rd is really when I started. Something really sparked for me. I really was looking for, I don't know, an outlet for my thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
and it just made sense. I was trying to write. I was trying to do like book type of writing. Just had some ideas, and they kept getting kind of mixed up with my personal thoughts. And so I decided to start two different journals, and then it quickly reverted right back to just one solid thought stream.
Hmm.
And so all my journaling, whether it's book related or an idea that I'm trying to really flesh out, or just a lot of personal stuff, prayers, notes that I take, whenever I'm reading or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how it all started. Um, to really an extensive amount. I had a couple journals that I have here tonight. Brought them with me actually. Here's my
Whoa.
stack right here.
Whoa, look at that.
And the first two were kind of from earlier, one from a mission trip I was on in high school, and then another one from before 2012. But I really just had a real deep sense that I needed to put my thoughts somewhere. So that's kind of how it started.
Hmm. Now, is there any special method to doing this as far as obviously you do with pen and paper? I know some people kind of do it on the computer, but is there any kind of ritual involved, a routine? Like, I have to do it every Monday morning. I have to do it every Tuesday morning. I got to do it after Wednesday night or something like that. Like, is there a method to the madness per se when it comes to journaling your thoughts or?
My method, I don't know if it's anybody, like it's a perfect method for everybody, but my method is to try to have the journal with me when I want to write it, write in it.
That is
Um,
important.
so I'll take it with me. I always have it with my Bible, just as a companion piece. But oftentimes I write in the morning. But I've really tried to get away from the guilt tripping, like, oh, I gotta write again. It's good to have that desire.
Mm-hmm.
But I also know that there's been big, it was funny as I was preparing for the session, I was looking back. There's some really like large gaps in my, journaling, really, like 2.5 months. And I was like, what was happening then? I was like, oh, yeah, 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 we got married. So, I had like
It's kind of a
I had
big
like a
deal.
big gap, and then I didn't even start writing it until about another week or week and a half after our honeymoon. So like, let life happen, but my encouragement is to have a place to write, the things
Hmm.
that spark interest in you.
Hmm.
So
That's great, man. I think you and I kind of shared this a few other times when it comes to just journaling. A lot of times, the main theme or the topic of interest that I have when I journal are my frustrations, and there are things that you were talking about putting things down that are going on in your head, and if you have like a book idea or just kind of decompressing your day, I tend to think of journaling that way. I think of decompressing my thoughts. And sometimes it can be a little depressing to go back and see that it's just a lot of frustration that I'm just venting and putting on paper. I mean, what's your experience like? And is there any kind of encouragement you can give to somebody that maybe, they're not really sure what to write about, or perhaps, what's the common theme, or how do I look back on what I've written, kind of process. So I know there's probably a couple questions there, but you can try to
sure,
tackle as many as you can.
sure. With the frustrations, I would encourage them. I would say with any like hurdle in life, as we go through them, as we observe them,
Mm-hmm.
there's some real crucial stuff to learn from that. And that's also, that's just going to come through naturally. I wouldn't get too, frustrated about what you're writing, what you're observing. I've had people say, well, I'd be worried if somebody else is going to read this. I just, maybe somebody will. Mine are they're pretty personal. I'm going to share a little bit tonight, but a lot of it's personal. So, I'm okay if somebody reads this after after I die. I'm okay with that. Hopefully they don't hold me to everything that I've written, but kind of see it, kind of in context that I was trying to learn and trying to just work through my thoughts. But in terms of the really deep frustrations, I just, encourage both, to write the good things and write the bad and try to make sense of it. I think that's, like any good conflict creates a good story. That's kind of where all the good stories start is the
Mm-hmm.
more the conflict is there. So it's kind of observing those. So that's kind of the first piece of that. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, just try not to pull the guilt trip over yourself.
Yeah, which I feel like I do all the time. I'm always going, oh man, I'm not doing it enough, and then I kind of give up after a while, and I go back to doing something else, like maybe reading or probably checking in on my kids or something like that.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, just real quick. I mean, as I was going back through, it was good because there's sometimes I have literally one sentence or one question put
hmm,
in a course of maybe 3 or 4 days. And then there's other sections that are pages and pages and pages of thoughts. And there's something about um, kind of taking the intangible and
hmm,
putting it and making it tangible. So
hmm,
we're taking our thoughts, whatever they are, and we're literally it's coming ink out of the pen, and we're having to articulate exactly what it is, even if it's not perfect. So I'll even cross stuff out. It's just different in that light than simply typing it out.
hmm. Do you think there's something to be, like you said, and I wanted to ask you that question that you just kind of alluded to at the very end there? Is there something to be said for writing it with a pencil and paper versus, or pen and paper rather than typing it out?
I believe so. I mean, I wouldn't say everybody's built the same for that. But I would say for myself, I definitely have a much stronger sense of what I'm writing. I feel like it's actually becoming something rather than a place with a hard drive that might be able to get deleted or lost
Hmm.
um, a lot of writing now is often very public, just because of social media and stuff like that. But this is a very personal thing, and so I'm able to deal with a lot of the issues on a very, you know, on a very deep level that way.
Hmm.
So
That's great, man. Because a lot of times I think we think of journals as being very therapeutic things. Being something that is, uh, I don't know else to put it other than, we're venting our frustrations. But if someone were to ever see our work, what would that look like? Would we be embarrassed by the fact that someone was able to pick up our stuff and read all of it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, I basically told my wife and my brother that they're welcome. My brother Nathan, they're welcome to my journals after I die. I
Mm-hmm.
hope they can learn from them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you're really worried about that
Mm-hmm.
as a writer,
Mm-hmm.
I've said this before. You can burn them. You can lock them up in a vault. You can do something with them that makes it feel like nobody else is going to read this,
Right.
or just share it with your close loved one. Like I want to keep these kind of personal, but if I go, here's what to do with them. But um, you know, it is really important to dig deep, and I think writers have that ability to do that. And
Mm-hmm.
are we doing it in a way that is every thought that we have, does it have to be scrutinized by the
Mm-hmm.
masses, or can we somehow work with it in ourselves before it becomes
Right.
something big or whatever?
Right.
And so that's kind of the area I'm advocating.
Good,
So.
man. That's awesome. On that note, I think we'll take like a quick break here before we hit on to the next topic that we'll be talking about as you share some of your journal experiences and some of the things that I think we can reflect upon and encourage some other people with, man. So,
Mhm.